Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about something that we really need to talk about and need to end this once and for all, and that is guilt-free food. Okay, this is something that really gets me riled up, really pisses me off, and hopefully by the end of this video you will understand why it is such a stupid and awful and not okay thing to use or word to use to describe food. Basically, how we talk about food matters. The words that we use to describe food and talk about food, they do matter. They have an impact on how we see the world. They have an impact on how we view ourselves in relation to the food that we eat. So let's look at this in context for a second. If I make a brownie and I advertise it as being a guilt-free brownie, for whatever reason, doesn't matter why at the moment. So I have this guilt-free brownie. What I am implying is that if you're eating this other brownie, that you should feel guilty about it. You should feel guilty about eating this brownie, but definitely not about the brownie that I've made. How is that okay? Basically, that is a load of bollocks. I don't care if the brownie I've made, if it's gluten-free, if it's refined sugar-free, whatever the hell that means, if it's made with maple syrup, if it's vegan, if it's paleo, whatever your justification is, it is not acceptable. It does not mean that this other brownie should make you feel guilty. And that is because no food at all in the world should ever make you feel guilty. You should never feel guilty about any of the food you eat. Ever. Full stop, no buts. And in the same way, you should never make someone else feel guilty about the food that they're eating. Just because someone chooses to eat foods in a different way to you does not mean that you are completely guiltless and they should feel guilty about the food that they're eating. So this is basically just another example of how we moralize our food choices. Calling food guilt-free doesn't help anyone. It makes maybe one person feel smug about the way that they're eating, but it makes a whole bunch of other people feel worse. And that is not good enough. We need to stop moralizing our food choices and stop attaching morals to the way that we eat, because it is not helpful in any shape or form. So if you're watching this now and thinking, oh my gosh, yes, we need to do something about this, then you and I are on the same wavelength. And there are two things that I think that we can do to kind of at least start to counteract this. Firstly, you can make sure that you yourself never use these kinds of words, simply not because it's some kind of rule, but because it just doesn't make the other people feel good. And you want to be a positive influence on other people, then don't make them feel bad about themselves. Don't use words like guilt-free, because they're not helpful. No, all food is guilt-free, so it doesn't even mean anything. So the first thing you can do is stop using the phrase guilt-free to describe food, any food at all. Secondly, call it out when you see it. If you see someone using the words guilt-free, ask them, what is it about this food that makes it guilt-free? And they might come up with some justification like, oh, it's low in sugar, or they might say, oh, it's gluten-free, or they might just give some justification as to why they deem this particular food to be guilt-free. So then you can follow that up with, okay, so does that mean I should feel guilty about eating something that doesn't subscribe to these particular rules that you've attached? You're saying I should feel guilty about eating this food. Hopefully at that point they'll go, oh shit, yeah, that's not really very nice, is it? And if they don't realise it and they say, yeah, you should say to them, literally just make them realise how that makes people feel like, but doesn't that make people feel bad about themselves? Doesn't that make people feel worse? Why would you want people to feel bad? Like, why would you want that for someone else? Like, I don't understand that. Hopefully you can at least get them to start thinking that just because they're using this as like some kind of marketing term or some kind of buzzword, is it really justifiable just to sell products or just to get people to, make your recipe? Is that publicity really worth it for making people feel really crap about themselves? I would say no. And if someone thinks that that's okay, I don't want anything to do with them. Okay, so you can probably see this is something I feel very passionately about. I get really riled up about this. This is serious. We do not need any more negativity. We need to be lifting each other up and making each other feel better about ourselves rather than just adding to the amount of negativity that we experience on a day-to-day basis. So if you agree, please give this a thumbs up. Please feel free to leave your comments below. Interested in having a discussion? no problem. And please subscribe if you want more videos like this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.